Okay, hello and welcome everyone. So in this video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of some of the exercises that kind of support our discussion of competition and monopoly. Typically, this would be the type of walkthrough that we'd have for class in like a Thursday or Friday section. And so that's kind of the way to think about this video. Sort of these are meant to be class discussion type questions that are simply not possible with the coronavirus stuff. So all right, the first question, think of the market that's plausibly perfectly competitive. Describe the market and evaluate how it compares relative to our assumptions. So our assumptions for perfect competition, we have many buyers, we have many sellers. Our market participants are price takers. We assume we have identical products. There's free entry and exit. There's full information about price and quality. And then my question is, well, please circle the assumptions where your example doesn't do so well. So evaluate your example and then circle the ones where it kind of fails, where things fall apart. Well, the example that I suggested is an agricultural product. That's kind of like the main one that does a pretty good job of perfect competition. So it's sweet corn at a farmer's market. But first I ought to say, well, even though there's probably not that many products and markets that actually look like perfect competition, that's not the point. The point is we have this model of perfect competition, which provides kind of a good benchmark against which we might judge what would be the ideal situation for a market from the standpoint of maximizing efficiency. And then we can look and see with any given product or market, what's the failing driven by. So in the case where a firm has market power, it's because there's barriers to entry, for instance, or there might be identical products that's kind of leading towards that. Anyway, so the example that I said was sweet corn at a farmer's market, many buyers. Yeah, there's a lot of people go to the farmer's market. Many sellers. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of farmers relative, or a lot of vendors relative to the number, to the size of the market. You typically have kind of a lot to choose from. Maybe like in a town park or something like that, and kind of relative to your options available, there's a lot. Although these are two places where you maybe take issue with, does this really qualify as many buyers and many sellers? Are the market participants as price takers? Yeah, you can easily go to the next vendor. That's not hard to do. There's really low transaction costs. Identical products? For all practical purposes, yes, you're not really able to sample. I mean, if they give samples, then I guess you could determine if there's some taste difference, but other things equal, there should be relatively identical products with sweet corn. Free entry and exit. Well, at the scale of the farmer's market, yeah, anybody could grow sweet corn like on their windowsill or something like that. At the industry level, absolutely not. Then there would be a barrier to entry because you need kind of this large scale operation. Full information about price and quality, for the most part. I mean, you can go to each vendor and ask what they're selling for. You can kind of inspect their quality. So I'd say, yeah, the market for sweet corn at a farmer's market is plausibly perfectly competitive. Now we want to think about a market that's plausibly dominated by a monopoly. Describe the market, evaluate how it compares to our assumptions. So our two assumptions are we have a single seller that's a price searcher, meaning that the seller is able to seek out the price that consumers are willing to pay. And then part two, there's barriers to entry. So my example is like music or comedic entertainers. Sure enough, you've got a single seller and they're able to determine what their fans are willing to pay, right? Because of copyright over their work, there's a single seller of that particular performance, and they can see what fans are going to pay for downloads or for tickets, right? Barriers to entry, yeah, copyright does a pretty good job of preventing entry into the specific niche, protecting the specific work. Of course, you can get rivals entering the category as a whole, and so overall, we might think of entertainers and comedic entertainers, music and comedic entertainers might think of that market as kind of monopolistically competitive, meaning we've got like a lot of sellers all with market power over their fans. But for some, plausibly we could think of a monopoly if we're thinking specifically over their performance or over their work. Okay, question 3. At a current output, profit maximizing competitive firm gets $12.50 per unit produced, right? That's the market price, has average total costs of $10 at whatever is the quantity corresponding to their marginal cost at this price. When the market price is $12.50, the firm's marginal cost curve crosses its marginal revenue curve, where quantity is equal to 1,000. Oh, marginal revenue, what's this? Well, for a competitive market, marginal revenue and price are the same. Price is equal to marginal revenue for an individual competitive market or competitive firm because they're taking the prices given and selling each additional unit for exactly the market price. What's the firm's profits? Do you anticipate entry or exit? Well, so let me draw a picture here. Here's the entire market in the left panel, and then the individual firm in the right panel. The entire market as a whole interaction of market demand and market supply is generating this price. And then the individual firm is taking that price as given, determining where that crosses its marginal cost, producing these 1,000 units. The average total cost associated with producing those 1,000 units that's 10. And so we have this space between 1250 and 10 and over these 1,000 units where profits are generated, right? Profit is going to be price minus average total cost times quantity. I like writing it this way because this shows that we have an area, right? Price minus average total cost is a vertical length. Quantity is a horizontal length. If you were to remember the definition of average total cost, that's total cost divided by quantity, and if you were to multiply through, we'd end up seeing this is nothing other than revenue minus cost. That's just an algebraic manipulation. If you followed that, you can run through it and prove it to yourself. If not, just remember that this is the way that we want to calculate profits if we're doing it on a graph. Okay, so profits then are 2,500. We expect entry to drive profits to zero. Do we expect entry or exit? We expect entry because there's positive economic profits. We expect them to compete it away and drive profits or drive price down to the minimum of average total cost. Question 4, suppose a competitive firm previously set its market price at $20 per unit to maximize profit, which had been positive, just like that last example. Then the market price rises to $25. The firm adjusts in order to maximize profits. After these adjustments, what happens to quantity, average total cost, marginal revenue in terms of being higher, lower, same as before? Well, let's look at this picture. Suppose initially we produce where marginal cost equals price of 20, a quantity of Q1. Then price rises. Well, we'll produce a larger quantity because it's going to cross marginal cost further. And average total cost is going to be higher too. This should be at the minimum. Marginal cost has to cross average total cost from below at its minimum. That's a requirement of how we define marginal relative to average. So it looks like I should actually move this over just a bit. But anyway, because of this, we know marginal cost, when marginal cost is above average total cost is rising, which means this quantity is going to be associated with a higher average total cost than over here. And wherever marginal cost is below average total cost is falling, right? Average total cost is U-shaped. When the marginal is bringing up the average, it's like your GPA for a semester bringing up your overall GPA. Or if the marginal cost is below the average, this is like your batting average in a game bringing down your season batting average. Right? So we have price rising, average total cost rising, marginal cost rising, and quantity rising. All right, question 5. Consider the firm with this cost structure. Sketch a plausible representation of the cost curves. Doesn't need to be exact. Just try to capture the features. That's this. Average total cost is going to be U-shaped. Marginal cost is rising, average variable cost is rising. I've written these kind of looking as like plausibly linear because we don't have marginal cost dipping down then rising, nor do we have average variable cost dipping down and then rising. Right? Marginal cost is rising, average variable cost is rising, so I've drawn it like this. Average total cost and average variable cost are going to move together as output increases because the difference between average variable cost and average total cost is just average fixed cost. And average fixed cost goes to 0 as output increases. Suppose fixed cost is 1,000. Suppose you produce 1 unit. Average fixed cost is 1,000 divided by 1 or 1,000. Suppose average fixed cost is 1,000 and you produce 1,000 units. Average fixed cost is going to be 1,000 divided by 1,000 or 1. Right? It's going to be driven down as you produce more output. Part B, if the market price is 400, find the profit maximizing output. Turns out it'll be a quantity of 10. Then we have to check to see is average variable cost of producing those 10 units bigger or smaller than 400. Let's see, average variable cost is smaller, so we want to produce in the short run. So at a price of 400, my marginal cost will be, well, I'll produce 10 because that'll keep my marginal cost at 370. I don't want to produce the 11th unit because then my marginal cost is going to be bigger than the price. Right, marginal cost would go up to 400. Here's average variable cost, 190 at that quantity of 10. And actually, we could look at average total cost. That's going to be 100 plus 190, right? Average total cost is a sum of average fixed cost and average variable cost. Average total cost would be 290. So we'd actually have positive economic profits at that price. I didn't ask us to do that last part. Will the firm ever choose to produce a single unit of output? Well, if we want to produce 1 unit of output, so suppose the good was free, price is equal to marginal cost, produce 1, oops, but average variable cost is bigger than 0. So then we'd shut down. But wait, what if price was like bigger than 10, right? What if price was like 20? If price is 20, we still are only going to produce 1 unit. We're not going to produce the second unit because price is 20 is smaller than 50. But if the price is 20, that's bigger than the average variable cost that's associated with producing 1 unit. So that's why I said marginal cost is 0, average variable cost is going to be 10. So we would need price to be bigger than average variable cost, which is 10, to want to produce here. Let's see. Then there's part D. About how many units of output does the firm earn 0 economic profits? So when is the firm going to earn 0 economic profits? Well, 0 economic profits are going to be at the minimum of average total cost. So we don't have average total cost. There's 2 ways to get it. One is you could divide total cost by output. 2 is you could add up average fixed cost and average variable cost. We can kind of do that. If we add these up, let's see, at a quantity of 8, average total cost is going to it's going to be the sum of 125 and 150, which would be 275. At 7 units, it'd be the sum of these two, 143 and 130, which would be 173. At 6, it would be 177. So I think minimum of average total cost is going to be at a quantity of 7, right? And I don't think I put this here. No. Break-even point is indeed where price is equal to marginal cost is equal to average total cost. For this last one, I didn't give us the demand. So we need a demand curve to be able to assess this. So I say for the monopolies profit maximizing output and price, find the monopolies profit maximizing output and price. We at least need the monopolies marginal revenue. The monopoly is going to produce where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. We don't have enough information. We don't have the demand curve. We don't have the marginal revenue curve. Typically, I would give us a demand curve or a marginal revenue curve so you're able to solve this, but I didn't do that. What's the monopoly's profits at the output? Well, we calculate the monopoly's profits just like the competitive firm's profit. Price minus average total cost times quantity. To maximize profit, a firm is going to produce the level where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. If it's making a profit, this depends on comparing price to average total cost. What are the 3 relationships? Price could be equal to average total cost, price could be bigger than average total cost, or price could be smaller than average total cost. All right. And the last one. So for my students, this is going to be like our online discussion, which is when I was in Arizona, I saw a sign on the Panera that said they are offering an unlimited coffee subscription of $8.99 per month. And so my question is, and so for like for those in the class, like just you'll be replying on Canvas. But if you're watching this video and not in the class and you want to answer my question, I'll comment back. And so the question is, think about Panera's pricing. Unlimited coffee for $8.99 a month. My question is, how does this affect the competitive balance of the coffee market? This is near campus. This is near the University of Arizona campus. So how does this affect the market, the balance? So first off, do we think the market for coffee near the university is competitive? Do we think there's a monopoly? Second, do we think that what's the wisdom of this pricing policy? Why would Panera do this? Why would they say, oh, you can have unlimited quantity at a given price? This actually seems a little bit like perfect competition, which says the competitive firm will produce any quantity at a price they're taking as given. But that's not exactly the logic here, because Panera's not taking the price as given necessarily. They're telling you what the price is going to be. Although maybe they are. We'd have to kind of investigate, and this is sort of what the discussion is for. The last thing I want to think about is like, what does that pricing do? Like once consumers have bought in and have signed up for unlimited coffee, is the market more or less competitive? So some interesting things to think about. So if you have thoughts on that, go ahead, comment. I'll comment back to you. And then certainly for our online discussion for those in the class. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. And maybe maybe you're gonna as soon as our stay safer at home quarantine is over, maybe people run to Panera for their coffee deal. I don't know. Anyway, hope you liked the video. I'll see you later.